All right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are live for Count the Bucket's new episode, as you guys can see and halfway not see, especially for you all on the Color Cast. We look a little different today. Nick stepped out for the show today, so we were missing him. Just keep him in your thoughts and everything. He's got some things going on. I think he's actually on a move right now, so he's got some different things going on in his life right now, which, as well as all of us, my wife right now is sick with the flu, so we giving her some prayers and thoughts, and as they say now, which is weird, I think is these good vibes. But I know I'm old; I don't understand that. But very happy to have two guests with us tonight. Last time we were on the show, I think we didn't have a show last week. CJ was on here 2 weeks ago, so he's starting to become a mini co-host here, I think. So. And also Brandon, who we can't see, he's on a mobile phone right now, so it's okay. We can hear him. And he looks better this way. And, of course, for you guys that are on Color Cast, it doesn't matter what we look like. You can only hear us anyways. So, guys, thank you for joining the show, Count the Bucket. If you want to go ahead and give shout-outs, what shows you got, especially you, CJ, name all your different shows you got going on, and as well as you, Brandon, next.
Yeah, I'm the host of The Hard Count with Anthony Conover. Which is the host. I thought co-host, yeah, with Anthony Conover every Tuesday. 9 p.m. Eastern, covering all things NFL. Have my own basketball podcast called the Guard Up Podcast. And thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Brandon, go ahead.
What is up, everybody? My name is Brandon Vicuña. I don't have a name for my show, but I've been doing a show for the past couple of weeks where we talk NFL, all kind of football, college and pro, and just every other sport.
Sounds good. If you guys recognize the voice, Brandon has been on the show probably 3 or 4 times with us on Count the Bucket. The first time it's probably been about 4 or 5. I probably maybe say 6 months ago. He scared me to death because he had the Joker mask on. So if that may refresh in your memory a little bit, now we may know who he is. But guys,
yeah, I guess that probably helps. I don't have my camera open, right? You can't see the mask.
Totally fine for me because that thing seriously was creepy. I don't know, CJ, if you ever seen it or not, but it was like perfectly right behind his head, and it freaked me out big time.
I missed that one, man. I'm going to have to go back and check that one out.
But, guys, today this week has been very fun in sports. In NFL, of course, we got the Super Bowl. I know this is a basketball show, but I want to hear real quick, who are we pulling for, or who do we think will win?
I'm going with the underdog, going with the Bengals. I know the offensive line is, choppy. That seems to be the story of the game. Everybody's talking about that, but
yes,
I think they hold up pretty well. I think they do some schemes and keep Burrow upright. Burrow's also pretty mobile too. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go with the upset, man. I think the Rams have had a great season as well, but I think Bengals have done a great job, and I like Burrow, Chase. Make some big time plays in the playoffs. I think they're gonna run the ball too to kind of offset that offensive line, be more balanced, and that defense is underrated. They're opportunistic. They make plays. They get turnovers. So I think it's gonna be a good game, but I'm going with the upset.
Awesome. How about you, Brandon? Who we got?
Listen, teams that are playing in their home stadium in the Super Bowl are undefeated, never lost. It's 1-0, but I think that streak continues. It goes 2-0. I think the Rams win. The defensive line is too good.
Think the Rams win. See, I'm always drawn back to how old I am, and I know I'm pushing 36 in April, but I always go back to one of the matchups that I always probably one of the Super Bowl that sticks out most to me, I guess I'm trying to say, is the Raiders and the Buccaneers back in probably like the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. But you had Warren Sapp on defense, and I can't remember the quarterback, Gardner, I think it was, or something to that effect.
Brad Johnson.
Was it Johnson?
Brad Johnson, yeah.
No, I mean for the Raiders.
Oh, for the Raiders. Oh, was it damn, I forgot, man. Oh, Rich Gannon, right.
Okay, Gannon, that's what I was called.
Yeah.
But I thought Oakland was just going to flat out kill them with that offense. It was probably, I think, number one in the time of the offense. And I was like, man, this defense is great, but it's the Super Bowl. They're clicking. It's going to be a landslide, Oakland all the way. But most defense shows up in the Super Bowl, and it seems like the defense always prevails. Even that year, I mean, they spanked them. The Buccaneers did. So I'm going to have to lean towards the Rams with this. You got Vaughn. You've got Arnold. Who's there?
Aaron Donald.
I was putting it together. Yes. So I knew it sounded crazy when I was saying it, but I just feel like that Rams defense is just going to be too much to handle for the Bengals for a first-year team that hasn't been anywhere close to this since like the 90s. So I'm for Cincinnati because I live in Kentucky. It's the closest thing we have to any kind of professional teams. So I'm for the Bengals, but I can't be like these guys that are all over my social media where I live. It's like, oh, we finally get to bust out our Bengals jerseys. I'm sorry, guys. You all are not fans. You all just want to be fans. You're like me. We dressed up as Boomer Assassins when we were kids for Halloween, but that's as closest as a fan we ever became. So let's just get that straight. Now, let's move on over to the trades to what we had. Now, all year long, we've all been talking about Ben Simmons. Where is he going to go? Is he going to play? Will he be in Philly? Is he going to be a Blazer? And then now we know as we come up finally to the trade deadline that ended 2 days ago, he is now a Brooklyn Net. Of course, James Harden, that whole ripple, I'm going to say what he calls almost like a butterfly effect going on here. We've seen now, or at least I have, I don't know if you guys have looked at it any, but he's actually even talked to some of his agents about trying to be traded without saying he wanted to be traded. That stuff's kind of breaking now. So apparently he flat out was not happy in Brooklyn. Do you think he was ever really happy in Brooklyn? Because I feel at the beginning he had to be because he wanted to go there. Like, I mean, he looked like me for the offseason to leave Houston, you know? I mean, when do you think he became unsatisfied in Brooklyn?
I would say probably the start of the season. Everything that went down with with COVID and the rules here in NYC, Eric Adams shutting things down, and then Kyrie not willing to get the shot, and him only having to play road games, and then also KD. KD's been injured over the last 3 years, ever since the Achilles injury in the finals. October, he said. Yeah, in October he said he was never leaving.
He was never leaving October.
Yeah, I mean. We've seen superstars say that. Oh, we saw Kyrie a couple years ago in Boston. Yeah, this is my last stop, and then the
LeBron
next,
in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So these guys change their minds. They're human. They can do that. But yeah, I think it was the start of the season. I just feel like he was disgruntled. Now everything's coming out now. Now that he's traded, all these all the reporters get the scoop now on. Him and Kyrie had issues in the locker room about Sage, and all these little petty things are starting to come out. In regards to Harden's departure in Brooklyn, in Brooklyn. So I think it was the right move. I think it was the right move. And obviously, both guys, him and Ben, they needed a change of scenery, and I think it worked out perfect. Who won the trade? I think right now you got to say the Sixers, just because of how well Embiid is playing right now. He's playing at an MVP level. Just had 40-point triple-double tonight against the Cavs. He went insane. And, Harden coming in there, they need a guard that could score, facilitate, set guys up. Tyrese Maxey's a young player who could also play a big role. They kept Tobias. They kept Thibault. You lost some shooting in Seth Curry. That's going to be huge in terms of spacing. But they got to clean up that bench a little bit. But I feel like they got some guys that they could throw in the start in the second unit that could kind of offset a little bit of that. Maybe they go in the buyout market too. We'll see. And then for Brooklyn, I think Brooklyn, it's a lot of questions because there's reports now that they might lift the mandate here in NYC. So potentially Kyrie might be able to play home games, which is obviously big news if you're a Brooklyn fan. KD coming back, should be back by after All-Star break, and then Simmons. Simmons should be relatively fresh, should be good to go. Yeah, he hasn't played all year. And yeah, we'll see what he's worked on. Hopefully he's been working on his game. I know he's been dealing with some things mentally. So hopefully he's also been working on his game as well, adding to some things during his time off. And, I think it's perfect for him because he doesn't have to worry about shooting the ball. And that's what everybody talks about, things that he can't do. Yes. You got elite shot creators in KD and Kyrie. And all he has to do is kind of do the dirty work, be a playmaker, kind of like a Draymond Green type, a little bit more athletic though.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, but I think it's a good move for both teams. And March 10th, they're supposed to meet up. So got to be excited to see that game.
Yes. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I think you get like about a 3-month honeymoon period when it comes to James Harden and anywhere he's at for being happy. Yeah. It's like he ate his way out of Houston, and he didn't gain any weight in Brooklyn to play his way out of shape there. But yeah, you could tell he wasn't happy. He just looked kind of lazy out there. We know he had the hamstring issue, but you can only use that excuse for so long. I know we all read the internal frustrations between him and Kyrie, and you don't make this kind of move without Kevin Durant's approval. So I think there's probably a little more going on there that we've been told, because Kevin Durant's been the only one. Like, who would have thought Kevin Durant's the normal one on that squad? And so you don't make this kind of move without his consent and his approval. So there's definitely a winner and loser with the trade. I'm going to go with probably Philadelphia being the winner, just like CJ said, and be playing at an MVP level. And at least you get Harden for full time instead of part time like you do with Kyrie. But I can't be the only that just, like, it screams second round exit. Doc Rivers, James Harden, and Joel Embiid. Like, it just screams playoff disappointment.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, it's facts.
I'm going to be the opposite one here, I guess, because I do love the trade. Finally Ben gets away from whatever issues going on, and I don't want to just ban all the bad that was going with Ben from this offseason to showing up in practice with his cell phone in his pocket, getting kicked out of practice, faking somewhat of a mental issue, as they've actually said. Now, I'm not saying all. I'm going to use the word some because, I believe every one of us has some type of mental issues that we deal with that we keep buried that people will never know. But I'm happy. I hate to say that. No, I don't. I think I can say that. I'm happy for Ben in this. I almost feel like, looking back now, I thought James Harden, like, his demeanor as he played this year was almost like he could care less. But I thought it was more of disappointment because of not drawing the fouls that he's used to drawing, going to the free throw line and everything. So I almost felt like it was nonchalant, as we say here, or almost just casual playing. But now I'm starting to think maybe there's a lot more than what we didn't know going on as we're finding out these little petty stuff. Like, maybe he just didn't want to play because Kyrie wasn't playing. Like, I mean, he was a part-time player, or still is a part-time player, when James is busting his tail off every day trying to win this team a championship, and you got a guy who's only playing half the games. Excuse me. Now, I'm not saying Kyrie's in the wrong. I'm not saying he's all fine or everything. I'm just stating the obvious that's going on right now. So, but as far as who wins, who loses, I'm not going to say any of the trades was really a lose. Like, I like it for the 76ers in Philadelphia, but I feel like I actually like it better for the Nets. You lose James, who is a great point guard. I use point guard loosely there, but he was the point guard on the team. And you got a Ben Simmons now, who is more of your pure point guards, of kind of your 80s and 90s style point guard. I'll bring it up and I'll be the coach on the floor, but when you got Kevin Durant, you don't have to coach really too much, but at least he can distribute the ball where it needs to be. He can drive, penetrate, and kick. And with KD out there isolated, or even just coming off the screen after Ben comes with something, that's going to be good. Like, honestly, for the rest of the year, whenever Ben does play, I think he will flirt with a triple-double every game, because he can easily get to 10 rebounds with his size. He can easily get 10 points off of missed shots and putbacks because of his size. And, I mean, the assists there are going to be just, I mean, wrapping up. And now they got Curry, right? Seth Curry with them. So, I mean, I even like him going over there. That's another pure shooter, not as good as your brother, Steph, but I do think he's an underrated player that a lot of times we as media, or we as just as fans, look to Steph and think, well, you're not as good as him. But Seth is a solid defense and offensive guy, a 3-and-D guy. So, I mean, I can see Ben coming now, getting pick and rolls, and you got Seth out at the top of the key coming up on a wheel there, kick out to him for a 3, or come off a pick and roll, and then you've got a lob, you've got Kevin Durant over there, and then you even have Kyrie as well. So the rebounding will be better. Oh, yeah, and they even added Drummond as well. So, I mean, there's a lot going on with this Nets team. I almost feel like this pushes the Nets further ahead. I think now they are going to be the number one in the East. I'm still a big Heat fan. It's hard for me to say that they're going to be ahead of the Heat, because I love this Heat team to death. Just all around, this culture that they're playing there is wonderful. But I feel like the Nets now with Kyrie, KD, and Seth, and, yeah, even here, keeping Patty Mills, who I think is a pivotal piece to this team that they have as well. So I want to say that the Nets are the winner in this as far as immediate. Now, we don't know what's going to go on past this year, we know that James Harden was supposed to be signing a contract or the extension, and now there's stuff coming out saying that he did not sign it or hasn't signed it. They're not saying that he won't, but at least they're saying he hasn't signed it yet. So we don't know what's going to go on with that. So right now, I'm going to say that the Nets are the winner in this, or the higher winner. Let me say that, because I'm happy if James Harden's not happy on the team for everyone's health, mental health and everything, get on a team that's going to make you happy. So hopefully this reunion with 76ers is going to be good there. I do think Embiid and James Harden pick and roll is going to be very unstoppable. It's going to be hard to guard. And I do like it for the 76ers, but I'm leaning more to the Nets on this. And again, I might be the only one. Anybody kind of agree with me at least a little bit now?
No, listen, I think you made some great points. That's what I'm saying. I think it's a good trade for both sides. And again, you got to take into consideration the fact that Daryl Morey has a great relationship with James Harden. He had a lot of success in Houston. You saw I'm pretty sure both of you guys seen the video of him coming off the jet, hugging Daryl Morey. So he's obviously excited to be in Philadelphia, and that's really what it's about. You want to be comfortable where you're at, and I think it's a good spot. It's a good spot for him. I liked everything you said about Brooklyn, keeping Patty Mills. They have the Australian connection with Ben Simmons, kind of like a mentor. He's talked about that a little bit since the acquisition. And Seth Curry, again, knockdown shooter. They needed size. That's Simmons and Drummond. Both of those guys can rebound the ball. And then Simmons also brings versatility defensively as well. He could switch out on guards. He could literally play 1 through 5. We've seen it throughout his entire career. And I think it's a good move. It's going to come down to, I think it's really going to come down to both of those coaches. Doc Rivers, like you mentioned, he's been known to fold. A lot of 3-1 leads has been blown. Steve Nash, still relatively young as a head coach. Right. Now he has a pretty solid team. Once those guys get healthy, now we're going to see what type of adjustments he's made. They were 1 game away, a KD, toenail away from winning the game against Milwaukee in Game 7 in order for them to advance. So we'll see what happens now. I think it's going to be if they meet up in the playoffs, it's going to be a great series.
Yes.
And I feel like, of course, the underrated thing. I mean, everything looks great on paper, but as we know, it's going to come down to personalities and chemistry off the court, in the locker room. How these guys meshing. A lot of these guys, all these guys have large egos. All 5 of the guys that are mentioned in terms of these superstars. So it's going to have to mesh. We're going to see how it plays out. But yeah, like I said, I think Brooklyn came off, and they got 2 first-round picks as well. I thought Philadelphia would get the first-round picks, but Brooklyn ended up getting 2 first-round picks. So that's also a big deal. So I'm a fan of the move for both sides, and we'll see how it plays out in a very tough Eastern Conference. I'll probably still go with the Bucks right now. I mean, they're the champs. But I do think with the additions that Brooklyn made, it helps them in terms of having size to be able to contain Giannis. It's going to be tough. It's Hero. Yeah, Hero's here. Hero's a beast. He's a beast. He's been playing excellent ball. I like Miami. I think Miami. I'll say Miami, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and Philadelphia. You gotta have those. Got to be the top 4 teams. And Toronto's pretty underrated. They're coming around pretty well also.
Okay, real quick, Christian saying we get an echo, and I think just so you guys know, on the color cast is where he's saying the echo is. Brandon's in on our stream, but he's not in on the color cast, so I'm trying to use my phone to pick on that, so I don't have on headphones. So bear with us on that. I'll try to move my phone away when CJ talks, because I think what it is, it's picking you up from your own color cast, and then my phone's bringing it back through. So I'll try to move my phone away while you're talking to Brandon. I'll try to bring it closer when you are. But let's hear from you, Brandon. Do you think either one of these teams move up in the first place or first or second place? Or let's just say, what do you think the top 4, since CJ kind of did that, in the East now are?
Yeah, so I talked about this on my show earlier.
Good.
I know Miami has they have the most home games out of any team, I believe, in the NBA. If not, for sure, I know it's the East, but they have the most home games remaining. And they also have the easiest schedule. So they currently sit in first place. I think they stay in first all the way through. I think Milwaukee probably finishes second the way they're playing, especially Giannis. He's playing like the MVP candidate that he always is. And then I think it goes Brooklyn 3, and then I think Philly 4. I think the immediate addition of Simmons is going to put them over the top. And I know they only get Kyrie for a certain amount of games, so I think that's what really limits them to that 3rd spot.
Okay, I'm fair. I agree with you on that. I know I said that kind of moves the Nets up to 1 or 2 up there with Miami, but I'll take into consideration that he's playing half games right now. I guess I probably was more hype on that. Great point on that. So I'll say a 3-2 with that. I mean, Milwaukee's going to be a great team. I do think I'm not taking anything from Milwaukee, and I say this usually about every show we talk about them. Last year's season, everything fell into place perfectly for them. The injuries, from every team, even Harden, I think, or no, KD basically almost beat them on a 2-inch, too big of a foot, one-legged shot, basically, because he didn't have his other leg. And then I want to say Trae Young even got hurt in the matchup, or somebody in the Atlanta team was hurt as well. So I'm not taking anything from them. They have the ring. They deserve it. It counts. But I'm going to go ahead and put them at the 2. I got Miami 1, Bucks 2. I'll go with Nets 3 because y'all make great points, and we're here to listen and learn from each other. And then I'm going to put Philly at 4. What breaks my heart is to not even say anything about Boston. Like, they just have such a nice-looking team. Like, I think that's – and this is not something we even thought we were going to talk about, but I'm going to get into it a little bit. Boston, like, with Brown and Tatum, I think that's probably the duo team that everyone in the country likes. That wishes could do good. Like, there's I haven't heard anyone like just say, I can't stand the Celtics duo that they got. Like, everyone loves this team and we want them to be better.
I don't.
No.
I don't.
Well, Brandon does.
We got one.
I hate Boston. I hate Boston.
Why do you hate Boston? Is it because your Heat roots?
Yeah, exactly. It's just
okay.
That goes back to the big 3 days. LeBron just that goes deep.
Okay, well, that's fair. I understand that. The big 3, of which Rondo was actually the 4th that doesn't ever get noticed. Now, I'm going to say this, guys. This trade actually went under the radar for me at least. Was looking through some of the stuff we could talk about. I didn't even see much of the headlines talking about Porzingis being traded. Did you all see a lot about it, or is it just I didn't catch it?
I saw a little bit of talk, but I think it's just because he's been so, in and out of lineups. His injury history, has not been great. And I don't really know what the Wizards are doing right now. I mean, they got rid of Montrez. They sent him to Charlotte. I think that was a great move, great pickup by Kupchak and Michael Jordan over there in that front office for Charlotte. He's a utility guy. Get clean off the rim, get rebounds, energy, catch lobs.
Man of the year.
Former 6th man of the year, so he knows his role, brings a lot of energy to the team. You get rid of Bertans and Dinwiddie, you send them over to Dallas in the Porzingis trade. If you get Porzingis, if he's healthy, it's he could get you 23 and 7, and maybe a couple blocks.
Okay, just kind of recapping there real quick. So Porzingis actually went to the Wizards. Dinwiddie and someone else. I can't remember who it was now.
Dinwiddie and Bertans.
Went to Dallas. I like the move for Washington, actually. I mean, actually showing Bill that, hey, we're going to try to compete with you here. So, I mean, I think this keeps Bradley at home for a while now. I know a lot of people, myself, was thinking, okay, maybe they move him before the deadline, but they've actually played pretty decent this year. Like, I'm talking about preseason. I thought Washington has no chance. They look pretty decent, and now adding Porzingis, I think that was a great trade by Washington. As far as Dallas, I don't really know what they were thinking on this. Do you all? I mean, where's Dinwiddie going to be playing, really? I mean, your guard tied up there. I mean, your whole lineup is nothing but guards. You needed size. Do you all think it was a bad trade on Dallas' part, or is it just, hey, we're parting ways with Porzingis and we don't really care?
I think it was more parting ways with Porzingis. I know, like, when the trade happened, I was watching ESPN, and Tim Legler said, yeah, like, we get Porzingis as a 7-foot unicorn, can stretch the floor, but he said he's also a unicorn because you don't see it. Like, you never see it.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, the best ability is availability. And if you get Porzingis for 33% of the season, like, why not move on from him? Dinwiddie, who's probably one of, like, a really underrated player, is a good shot creator and just kind of takes some, like, of the shot creating pressure off Luka. And from the Washington side of it, I feel like they're stuck in this constant cycle of, we're not sure if we want to blow it all up or contend. Like, we saw them go get Russ to try to keep Beal happy. They made the plan. And then them getting Porzingis, it seems like a constant, like, their mediocre team cycle.
Yeah, I'm trying to look here. I'm on ESPN looking at the depth chart. Looks like their projected starting five. Their trades for Dinwiddie and Bertans don't even have them listed as starters. So, I mean, you're losing what are your starters wins there for really nothing else. Like it's got Kebler, Finney-Smith, Bullock, Brunson, and Luka, of course, as their starters still. Of course, Dinwiddie is out. Do you think Dinwiddie, when he's healthy or whenever he is active, he will be a starter?
I think he might. He's also had times where he's been a backup as well. So it's just going to come down to whether what Jason Kidd tells him what his role is on the team. He's going to get paid regardless. He still has 3 years left on that deal that he signed when he originally went to the Wizards. Bertans, same thing, still going to get his money. He got a deal 2 years ago. So if they buy in, Luka's going to give them the rock. Obviously, he's one of the best playmakers in the NBA, so that's going to play a big factor. I think them losing Hardaway was a big deal, and that's probably why they wanted to make this move. Like you said, get another shot creator, get a guy that could create their own shot, that could space the floor. Bertans, I mean, they haven't played well this year, shockingly enough, and Bertans didn't have a great year last year either. But you would hope with Luka having the ability to create double teams, those guys should be open much more than what they probably were in Washington. So that give them some more open shots, which would increase their confidence, and it makes them a better team. Jason Kidd's done a really good job with the Mavs. They've been playing really good defense. So if they buy in, they may not start right away, or they may not start right away, but they could be in some closing lineups. That's probably what you prefer more than anything. You want to close the game. You want to be a part of getting the dub when it counts in the fourth quarter. I think one or two of those guys could potentially get in that lineup. Then for Washington, yeah, it's a little weird. Like Brandon said, they try to get Russ, and then they trade Russ for like role pieces, and then they move Harold, and then get Porzingis. So, Bill is kind of like Lillard a little bit. These guys, they're just we got guys that want to leave like Harden and Ben, and then we got some guys that want to stay like Lillard and Bill. How long will they stay and leave? We'll find out soon enough. But Tommy Shepard and those guys in the Washington front office, they're just trying at least to show Bill that we want to compete. I just don't see them getting a big name free agent, getting these big name guys to come to DC. That's going to be tough. Kuzma has been playing really well. KCP, solid role player. You would hope Rui Hachimura steps up and makes that next step. He got drafted pretty high a couple years ago. You would hope he turns things around and starts to play well. And as a young player. So, Bill being out for the season is a wash, obviously. So you just got to hope, Porzingis is happy and he stays healthy and he plays well. And then, when Bill comes back, okay, we got something here. We got a duo here. We could potentially be, a play-in type of team next year.
Yeah.
And of course, go ahead, Brandon.
So I was going to say, how much does Brooklyn miss Dinwiddie and Allen? Like, how much do you think they regret that trade?
I think they regret it, but at the same time, you've got KD, and now you have Ben Simmons, and
right.
I don't think they really miss it too much. Now, Allen, I think they probably miss more than anything, but I don't think they miss him too bad. Like, that would have been great if they could have kept him. Of course, Joel Embiid had a monster slam on him today, but that's why he's in the headlines. But, I think that'd be the only one that they really miss is just that size that he had and his leap ability.
But they also got Drummond, too, in that deal. So I feel like he's one of the best rebounding bigs in the NBA. And that's similar to what Allen does. Allen obviously does a little bit more offensively in terms of catching lobs and doing things like that. But you would hope those things would open up for him because of the great players that he has around him in Brooklyn now. So, Allen has been a big-time addition to the Cavs and a big reason why, they've been successful. But I think Brooklyn will be fine because, before this trade, they had no size at all. It was Aldridge and Claxton. And Claxton, he's an athletic guy, but he doesn't have the size in terms of muscle mass. And now you got all those guys. You could rotate, keep guys fresh, certain lineups, you can mix and match. So I think it's a good deal for Brooklyn.
Now, this isn't exactly trade since we're kind of talking about all trades, but I know you guys have heard it because if you turn on anything with sports related, it's going to talk about the Lakers at least 5 minutes in the show. But now it's been breaking some news that AD and LeBron both wanted some type of trade to go. I'm going to assume that had been Russ out. I also seen recently that they actually did deny the trade offer from Houston that was John Wall for Russ Westbrook straight up. Apparently the Lakers wanted a pick in with that as well. I don't know how you could ask for some round pick. It didn't say anything of what I was reading show what number round pick that was.
I think they wanted
to get a pick out of it as well.
Yeah, they wanted a 2027 first round pick from the Lakers to make that move, and the Lakers said nah.
Okay. Oh, they wanted it from the Lakers. Okay, right. I had that backwards. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't blame them for saying no on that then. But I feel like, yes, I'm happy that LeBron's team is struggling. I have to say it that way because you never know what year LeBron's going to be on what team, so it's still LeBron's team. But I'm glad that they're struggling because I am a LeBron hater. Hello, my name is Michael Lawson, and I am a LeBron hater. I'm okay to admit that. But this team that was orchestrated so well and looked so good in years past, all of a sudden they get flat out suck this year. And I think there's so much more than what we really realized was going on because, like I said, AD and LeBron both said they were not happy with the front office not making some type of trade. And again, I'm willing back to this. It had to have been Russell Westbrook. Don't you all agree that would have been the trade? Like they wanted to get rid of Russ. Like how is that going to affect the locker room? And I'm sure they wanted something else as well, but we all know that Russ needed to go. Do you think that this is ever going to change for them this year? Like they're going to get out of this, or are they just going to be done for the rest of this year?
Yeah, it's so many things to decipher with the Lakers right now. Obviously, you got the Russ and Vogel factor. Vogel is benching him, and I think deservingly so. I mean, he's not playing well. I mean, if he was playing well, he wouldn't bench him. And the thing is, it's not always about your shot. He's not really stepping up defensively as well, and he's supposed to be he's one of the most athletic guys, so he has to step up on that end. And they don't have enough. They don't have enough guys. They have polar opposites. They got guys that can shoot but can't defend, and then the guys that can defend they can't shoot. So it's like it's tough for them to keep a consistent lineup, and especially when it's time to close outside of the big three, or if you want to call it the big three now, 2.5, whatever you want to call it. Those other two guys, it's really just who has a hot hand. Is it Monks? They just had Monk and Reeves as the two guys in this closing lineup against the Warriors that we just saw. That came down to the wire. Really good game. So it's gonna be an adjustment period, and it's an adjustment period for Russ because it's the first time Russ has really been a third option. He's never been a third option his entire career in the NBA, and now he's adjusting. I feel like Russ gotta go in and during All-Star break, take some time, work on his game, work on his shot, develop some confidence, really get in the lab, lock in for the second half of the season. And really be a factor, and probably have a one-to-one talk with Vogel, man. Have a talk with him, and what do you need from me, in terms of doing other things on the court, not just scoring. And then it's up to Vogel too to get him some easy looks, get him some easy shots, get him some easy cuts to the basket, where he can develop some confidence. So it's so many factors going into this one, man. I mean, they're the 9th seed right now. I don't see that change. I don't see them being out of the top 10. I think there'll be a play-in team. It's just they might get bounced out in the first round again because you got Phoenix and Golden State Phoenix and Golden State as the first and second seed, and to beat them 4 times, even though you have LeBron and AD, it's gonna take a lot of work. A lot of work, man.
Now, I'm a Vogel fan. I thought he does good. Now I totally agree with you. Some of the lineups are a little bit off, are a little bit crazy, but I feel like there's so much more to this team that is a problem than just saying it's the coach. And I agree. Everything, you're only as strong as your management or as the weakest link, either one you want to go there. But everyone that doesn't know basketball looked at this team and could say that this lineup is not going to work. There's too many ball dominant players on this team that has the ball in their hand for 50% of the shot clock, and there's no flow going on that. And there's something I've always talked about. LeBron is a ball killer, and people make fun of me for saying it, but he has the ball in the same probably 6 feet span for like 10 seconds in the shot clock while everybody else stands there. Granted, I know we probably don't need to get into all that if I'm right or if I'm wrong on it, but Westbrook needs to be a knockdown shot person on this team, and he's not. They've got to figure out something. Either Westbrook is just done, buy him out, send him somewhere else, or Westbrook's got to change his whole style. Like personally, I think Westbrook is a 90s wing player, a third or the three on this team. Like he's going to be the driver off for the wing, get it, and try to get fouled, try to get to the line. When you're almost old school, like your point guard is going to be your setup guy, your two is going to be Monk, the knockdown shooter, but LeBron is going to be the one and just kind of take everything. But Westbrook just needs to sit on the wing when you get it. Just I don't care what the play is, you're driving it straight to the rim and trying to create something. But other than that, don't touch the ball until we pass it to you too. That's the only thing you do. I don't think Westbrook needs to bring it down the court or anything and forget the dribble and take like 6 steps before he puts it down or anything like that. And then you got AD. Where does he play in this? Like, I mean, he's not a 5. We know he's not a 5. He's too weak for a whole game, or he's too timid for the whole time. So this team is so interchangeable, but at the same time, the same outcome keeps happening with them. Like LeBron can play the 5 and AD the 4 on defense because he's thick. I mean, he can take that beating. He's strong enough where he can handle that. On offense, everyone can basically be the point guard, but it's just nothing has ever played through. So I don't know if it's more everyone, as we always say, well, I don't know if that's allowed to say. So it's almost there's too many people are trying to dictate what's going on and no one's willing to be a teammate on this. Brandon, do you feel anything on that, or what do you think is going on with this Lakers team?
First off, I just want to say I think it's crazy that we've gone almost 37 minutes and not one congratulations to LeBron James for becoming the all-time leading point scorer between playoffs and regular season. I know we got a LeBron hater on here. CJ, I don't know your thoughts on LeBron. I think he's the greatest player of all time. So congrats to the king. All hail the king. They did lose.
Congrats, LeBron James, not the king.
We'll clip that, Michael. Don't worry. But yeah, they lost the Warriors today by 2, and I want to start by I know we talked about LeBron and AD being frustrated with no management movement or with management not making any moves, especially Pelinka. I want to first say LeBron has every right to be frustrated with no moves being made. Anthony Davis, on the other hand, no reason he should be complaining. The dude doesn't even play. Like everyone calls him street clothes Davis or Anthony Day to Davis.
There it is, Anthony Day to Davis.
If you want to complain, you need to get your ass on the court. Other than that, you have no reason to be complaining because LeBron can complain just as much about you for not being out there. So I think LeBron has every right to be frustrated. Anthony Davis needs to just worry about getting on the court first. Second, I don't know if you guys saw it, and I don't know if it's a true picture or if it's an accurate, of the day, but Pelinka was at Disneyland on the day of the NBA trade deadline, or that's when, a picture of him at Disneyland surfaced. I have no idea if it's from the same day, but I thought that was hilarious. You know this guy was just checked out. But I also think the no move they made is probably better than a panic move that they could have made.
I agree.
I don't think this team is good. I don't know where they go. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're even a play-in team. They're terrible. They're not good.
They really are.
Their defense is god awful. And if the Lakers want to be good, they need to lock in defensively, and they need Carmelo back.
Yeah.
I don't think Carmelo's going to save the team, but he definitely helps. Now, I am going to back up a little bit here with you on this, Brandon, because you say LeBron has every right to complain or be upset on this. But didn't LeBron kind of orchestrate what he has on his team now? Because, he was very adamant about getting Russ. And right. I don't think Russ is a bad player at all. But on this team, he just doesn't fit. So, really – he can't say that he has all the 100% room to be upset because this is the team he wanted, right?
No, I agree completely. And I think I don't know if you guys watch like the All-Star draft between KD and LeBron. LeBron picking DeMar DeRozan on his team was hilarious. Like, that's the biggest subliminal shot at Pelinka there is. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
like, they could have got DeRozan for a very good price. They could have kept Caruso and chose not to. And I think, yeah, a large part of that is LeBron. But at the end of the day, Pelinka gets paid to be the GM. Like, you make the final decision. So I think LeBron can still have 100% right to be frustrated, because I know we make the GM jokes and it's LeBron's teams, but at the end of the day, he's not the one putting the pen to paper.
Okay, he may not be putting the pen to the paper, but you can't tell me he ain't in the ear or holding that hand drawing exactly how that pen is supposed to write.
No, of course.
I mean, look how many everywhere he's went, he's had that coach fired the first year and get who he actually wants. I mean, it's everywhere he's went. He's complained, and I'm not saying complain in a bad way and really trying to pick at LeBron. Like, he has made his frustration known right away. Certain players follow. I mean, it's basically the same teams, just different players on that wherever he goes, except for Miami. Thank you, Corey. Except for Miami. Actually, was Sproles? I don't think Sproles was the first coach. He actually got the coach there fired too. I think, wasn't he the one from, I want to say, Europe? They had a coach.
No,
Sproles was there. Yeah, Spoelstra was there. The David Blatt was the guy. In Cleveland, he got fired.
Oh, it was Cleveland. Okay,
okay. And then Ty Lue came in there.
I just want to say, Spoelstra's with the top 15 coaches of all time came out. Spoelstra made the list. He's a two-time champ. He's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. Is it not reasonable to say his greatest accomplishment is not getting fired by LeBron and surviving like the LeBron era?
Well, that's the Pat Riley effect too. I mean, he's above those guys. Yeah, he plays a big role in that. Maybe if it's a different GM, different front office, maybe he does go. But Pat Riley, obviously believed in Spoelstra, and it worked out. As you know, got 2 out of 4, and here we are. Spoelstra, like you said, top 15 coach all time, led them to the finals in 2020, and number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. So Pat Riley ended up being right. And they kind of butt heads a little bit too towards the end, which is why he ended up going to Cleveland. I know, of course, going back home is the great story, but there was also some underlying storylines of him and Pat Riley maybe not seeing eye to eye. And Pat got a high ego. He got championships too as a head coach and an executive. So
and I know,
where did Pat Riley go to college at?
I was just about to ask you that, Michael. I was just about to ask you that. That's it.
CJ.
KU?
Oh, he went to Kentucky, yeah? Wow.
He went to Kentucky.
Oh, UK, not KU.
Not KU. That's Kansas. We put a butt whooping.
I know. I'm just asking you. But no, like you said, Pat Riley has that ego. We also saw the way it ended with Dwayne Wade. Like, they didn't end that relationship on great terms. He let D Wade walk in free agency. Pat Riley, he's not afraid. Like, he will stand his ground. He doesn't care who you are. And he'll take it. He's apologized for letting Dwayne Wade go, and now it's ended. They're on great terms. But he's a championship coach. That guy, he's the godfather. Like, you just see him up there in his suite, hands folded, arms crossed, slowly pulling. Yeah, hair slicked back, always in a clean suit. That man works. The devil works hard. Pat Riley works hard.
You have to love Pat Riley. And, even if talk about where Sproles was in the top 15, Pat was also in the top 15. So I think that even make that even more astonishing for Pat Riley, that one, he is the coach, and then 2, one of his coaches that he manages, if you will, is also in there. So I think that's awesome for Pat Riley in itself. But let's see here. Do we want to talk any more about LeBron and the LA tumbleweeds here? I mean, it's getting so bad. Or do we want to move on to something else?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, they're gonna have to find a way in this All-Star break, really lock in, adjust. They're gonna have to come together and really come to an agreement. Like Brandon said, they didn't make the move. I agree with him. They didn't panic. They kind of stayed intact. We'll see what happens with the buyout market. It doesn't look too great in the buyout. I'm hearing Dragic. I'm hearing some other guys, but again, like I said earlier, they have guys that do one thing but not the other, and you need versatile wings, and they don't have that. They had it last year, but those guys were a little inconsistent. Caruso was consistent in his role and what he did, and that was a big loss. And then Russell is a large contract, 44 mil, 47 next year. So it's gonna be a big challenge, man, coming this off season.
Do you think there's a chance that they say, okay, Russ, not that we're doing this disrespectfully, but we're going to start other players instead of you and let you control the second string? That way, when LeBron's off the court, like that's how it almost needs to be to me is if LeBron's on the court, Russ needs to be off the court because they're the same player, just different bodies. I mean, LeBron's just, pound it straight to the rim or do like the dribble between the legs, crossover between the legs, crossover, and then finally do the step back three. That's it, And I say that's it. Obviously, LeBron James, he is the leading point person in the NBA now, so it's not just that's all he can do. But and then you got Westbrook, who is, everyone backs up to the free throw line before, and he can still penetrate and get to the rim too. So like, it's help defense for everyone, just back off of them. So I almost feel like they need to do like a platoon. Let Westbrook control one team, LeBron control the other, and AD, if he plays whoever he wants to, and if he sits out a game because, he's almost like Kyrie, but with no excuse, part-time. And let them just go like that, and just everything straight down the middle. Okay, this is our teams that we're going to split, even in practices. This is just going to go head-to-head on this, so when we're in game time, you're ready to go. You build this chemistry with your five, and we're going to go. When it's crunch time, yes, we'll manipulate the lineups a little bit, who we want at the end of the game to finish out. But to me, Westbrook is not being used to his full capacity with this team, but at the same time, he can't be with this three-headed monster lineup. So do you all think they could platoon and do that or second string him? Or was his ego too big where he won't do
that? Yeah, I forgot. Someone on ESPN said, like, they brought up the idea of maybe bring Russ off the bench, and then I think it was Zach that he would pay a significant amount of money to be a fly on the wall for that conversation where Vogel, Polina, and whoever has to sit down and tell Russ, hey, we're going to bring you off the bench. I think that's hilarious. Out of Russell Westbrook would probably laugh that off. We saw Carmelo, I think, 2 years ago. They said, hey, you're going to come off the bench. This dude, he wasn't playing for anything. And he laughed and said, I'm not coming off the bench. And I think that's the same thing that's going to happen with Russ.
It's really what's his motivation? Mm-hmm. If it's a championship, that might be the move. I was against it in the beginning of the season because I was like, come on, game one, like Russ should come off the bench. You were already throwing it out now, but we're 50 something games in now, so it's completely different and doesn't seem to be working. And I don't know. I mean, him and Vogel don't see. I mean, it looks good on the surface. It looks everything. It looks like they agree with each other. But then see Russ coming out with, I got the back injury because I'm sitting on the bench. So that kind of says it right there how he feels about.
He didn't have no back injury.
Yeah.
It was he may be traded.
Right. Yeah. He might not be for that. It's probably gonna have to come down to Bron and AD. May have to have that conversation with him. Like, yo, bro, like. It may not be what you're accustomed to. We know you've never done it before, but if you're trying to win a championship with us, do something special. And if they, I don't think it's going to happen either way. But if their season starts to turn around because he makes that move, they start to win games, and it looks better. It's definitely something that would look better on his career. Because let's face it, look at the amount of talent he's played with in his entire career. It's a plethora of Hall of Famers.
Oh,
and they got zero rings to account for it. So it's like, yeah, and Brandon made a great point when he was in OKC. Melo was like, "Are you kidding me?" But over time, it took him for him to be out the league to get humbled a little bit, and then he came to Portland and was like, "You know what? I'm going to do whatever I need to do to win." Started to come off the bench, found a nice role for himself, and now he's running it with Bron and AD. So. It's really just his mindset. It's how he sees it. He's a very confident guy. We know this, and I don't know. Maybe if they keep him next year, maybe that may be a discussion. But right now, it's tough to see.
I'm just saying. Okay, I'm gonna say this.
Just to
Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just gonna say real quick. Imagine like Russ coming off the bench next year. You would have to assume he'd be like the front leading man for sixth man of the year next year. How many guys in history do you think of like won an MVP and like sixth man of the year? Like I don't think any.
Think Harden?
That's just a hilarious concept to think of. The guy can win MVP.
I think Harden's probably, Harden's the only one. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But like I'm okay. What about going the other way, like MVP first and then sixth?
Yeah, exactly. With the
Right.
Exactly. No.
But, as your career progresses or declines in this case, I mean, you've got to do what's best for you and your team. Like, let's be honest, when LeBron James is not playing or in the lineup, Westbrook has good games. Like, I mean, he does where he all of a sudden has 20 points, 10 assists, and so many different rebounds or whatever, where he's almost getting his triple-double. But when LeBron's in the game, he doesn't do that. And it's killing his career at the moment because he's playing with LeBron. Now, I'm not saying if I could play with LeBron James right now, I'm going to play with him. And whatever he asks me to do, I'm going to do. If you want me to sit up on three-point line, shoot, and airball threes, I'll do that because that's about how good my ability is. But I just feel like if they were to do that, I mean, even halfway through the year, I think Westbrook would move up in the sixth man of the year competition. Like he could possibly win it this year if he started being the sixth man now. So, I mean, that's how good of a player is. And I honestly think he can almost flirt with a triple-double running the second string because many times we've seen him not have much talent with him. I mean, some of his times with just Steven Adams and pretty much him, and he averaged the triple-double, or he got the triple-double in a season award that way. So, I mean, he can work a team with less talent on there and make them relevant. So, I think it'd be a great conversation. And, honestly, I agree with you, Brandon. It would be kind of funny and it'd be great to be a fly on the wall, but I'd almost would just set him down and be like, hey, listen, we want a ring. You're here for a ring. We want you to be the best Russell Westbrook that you can be, but it's not with the starting three or the starting five with us three-headed monster. We want you to be the leader of this team, but from the second string point where you're going to excel. I mean, how can you say no to that? I mean, you're basically telling me I'm going to be bettering my stats and improving everything and giving us a better chance to win a ring and actually be relevant again compared to, okay, you guys hold the ball and you all do what you want. If I get it, my fans are booing me to shoot a three now. So, I mean, to me, I think I would rather be that second string leader because to me, and I know we're spending probably way too much time on this, to me, when we hear second string, we think that he's declining, he's not as good anymore. But it's really not the second string. It's like the 1A, 1B. Like, okay, you're just going to man this team and lead it that way. So don't think of it like you're being demoted to second string. It's just you're going to be our all-star on this unit. And I would hope he would be okay with that. But that's, I think, enough about them. Let's see here. Our other trade. I actually, and I didn't know there were a couple more moves, but I kind of liked what the Kings did during the trade deadline. They went out and got Sabonis to match up with my guy Fox. I did hate that they had to give up. I'm trying to think of his name.
Halliburton.
I hated that for him, especially when he came in being as a rookie last year saying, I'm going to change the atmosphere for Sacramento. It kind of got you pumped and thinking, okay, this guy's committed to it. He's going to be doing good. But I really like this matchup with the Fox and Sabonis matchup teammates as well. Let me see if I can pull up what all was offered in that trade. I had it here. Okay, so the Kings, let's see here. The Pacers got Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson. I don't think Tristan Thompson will be there too long. I think that could possibly be a buyout, but that's just me speculating myself. The Kings get Sabonis, Justin Holiday, and Jeremy Lamb, and also a 2023 second-round pick. So I don't really hate either side of this trade because we know the Pacers are kind of blowing everything up. They're getting Halliburton, who is a young player. Buddy Hield is still decently good. I'm not saying that he's bad. He's been mediocre. Well, not mediocre, above average for his whole career, but gets bounced around everywhere. I really like this for the Kings. I even like Justin Holiday. I like the second-round pick for next year's draft as well. I think Fox may be in his third or fourth year here, so we're looking about his veteran contract coming up. Sabonis paired up with that. They're showing that they're actually going to try here. So I want to hear your guys' sides on this. Brandon, you want to go first this time on the trade between the Pacers and the Kings?
Yeah, I do think it's you could tell how bummed Halliburton was to leave. I really like that they added Sabonis, and I think it gives Fox some extra help. I was a huge Marvin Bagley fan coming out of college all the way back to high school, and I feel like Sabonis is what we all expected Marvin Bagley to be, and it gives Fox that spacing, a good pick and roll guy, mid-range, post-game, stretch it out. And I also think he's a very underrated rebounder / defender. I think the Kings got better. I think it kind of shows Fox that we're willing to help you out, and we want to help you out. We want to keep you happy. We just gave you that extension. And I think it also shows that the Pacers are kind of ready to blow it up too. They got rid of LeVert. They got rid of Sabonis. I know Sabonis, LeVert, and Turner were all kind of unhappy and disgruntled at the start of the season. And I think it shows kind of respect to Sabonis that you kind of helped us. You brought us to the playoffs a couple of years ago. We're going to maybe get you to an up and coming young team. And I think just the last one that now we're kind of curious to see what happens is Miles Turner. I know he's a guy that could end up being a buyout guy as well and make an immediate impact. I know he was a trade target for the Lakers, but I'm interested to see what happens with him in the offseason as well.
All right, how about you, CJ?
It's I at first I was kind of taken aback by it because obviously Halliburton's a young guy who's playing well, especially with Fox being out. But looking at what the Kings, the Kings they had three guards. Had a logjam at the guard position. Yeah, Halliburton, Hield, Davion Mitchell, and De'Aaron Fox. So one of those guys. You can't keep all of those guys for the remainder of the season. It was just too many guards, and they decided to go with Fox. That's the guy that's been there with them for the longest. Obviously, he's also more expensive with the deal he had signed. Right. So obviously that the Halliburton's still in his rookie deal. So cheaper and gives you productivity, which is something that the Pacers saw that they could still use. And Sabonis, he's a good player, man. He's triple-double threat every single time he steps up on the court. Great rebounder, plays extremely well. He's not the best shooter, but he's a guy that could get to the foul line, knock down shots at the free throw line. Does the dirty work. So he's a really good player, and I think they're gonna mesh well. I think you still got to put some shooters around both of those guys, Fox and Sabonis, because they're not the best 3-point shooters. Harrison Barnes has really have a great career. Look at his time with the Warriors when he was younger. Then he went to the Mavs for a little bit, solid here and there, and now in the Kings. Even though they're not winning, he's still been pretty solid. He's a guy that could get you 18 to 20 any given night. So it's a good move for the Kings. They obviously they're going to ride with Mitchell and Fox as being their backcourt, and we'll see how it plays out. And then for Indiana's sake, they got some guy. Chris Duarte is a guy that's going to get more opportunities now with LeVert being in Cleveland. Buddy Hield should get some opportunities as well, space on the floor, being a shooter. And I'm like Brandon said, I'm really interested to see what they do with Miles Turner because they got a young guy in Isaiah Jackson who can run the floor, catch lives, kind of be a power forward type guy. If they just want to completely rebuild, that'll probably be something that they'd probably get off of in terms of his quality. He's a really good player, so I'm pretty sure they could get something for him. So yeah, at first I was like, what's going on? I think a lot of people were taken back, because Halliburton was playing really well. I think he had 17 assists the game before, a game or two before he ended up getting traded. But I think it's going to work out for both teams. I think Halliburton, like I say, he's really good. Has his shots funky, but it goes in. And it's worked for him. It's worked for him his second year. He's played extremely well, and you have a point guard for the future, and you just got to build around him.
For the people that are on the stream, you all just see that Brandon disappeared. He messaged here, said that his phone was about to die. so he had to bounce on there, and he was very thankful that he got to join the show. I want to say thank you, Brandon, to you for joining on here and on our Colorcast as well. So sorry you had to leave there a little bit early before we got finished. I like it, and I know I said it already, but I kind of like it. It at least shows that the Kings are looking somewhat to the future, or at least they're trying to plan. So, and the Pacers, Carlisle, I like him as a coach when he was with the Mavericks. I hated that the season didn't go away the way it's planned, but I do think that at least they're showing a future of what they're wanting to or trying to start fresh on this. So I'm good with that. But what I was surprised is that the Suns were interested in Sabonis. Had you heard that yet?
I didn't hear that. That's
okay.
So
apparently it was an Ayton for Sabonis discussion, which really bothered me as a Suns fan with my bubble booker of a handsome man that he is with those eyes. Is that, beginning of the year, everyone's like, well, Ayton needs paid. He's not gotten paid. They haven't come up with this contract. And it's more of like, you're thinking, okay, well, they're just holding off this year, probably be mid-year, and they'll give him an extension. Or then it kind of, okay, well, maybe at the end of the year, they're just like, prove it to me that you can do this. And now we get to the trade deadline, and I won't say it's leaked, but it's been posted now, or it's been written out here in some articles that Ayton and Sabonis was possibly going to be traded for each other. I don't know why. It kind of actually bothers me because I like Ayton. Now, I will say this. Some games that I have watched of the Suns, I feel like his big man moves need to be improved, or his footwork needs to be improved just a tad bit. But I'm talking this about an NBA player. Like, I've watched him a couple of times get the ball on the post and just take one dribble and not really get anywhere with his moves and just kind of jump and then turn and shoot. I'm like, you're too big to be doing that. You need to be taking that hard dribble. My coach called it the horse dribble. I don't know why, but then you take your rump and move them. It just basically, you need to watch Shaq, and whatever he did, that's what you need to do to me, Ayton, not settle for a 6-7 foot almost baby hook or a turnaround shot. But I sit behind the camera here in my guest bedroom, so there's a reason I do that. But it kind of bothered me a little bit because the Suns are the number one team right now. I think they finally are in the double digits loss, and you're thinking, why would we even discuss this or hope that it would break that we're discussing a trade like this to hurt his chemistry to bring in Sabonis? I like Sabonis, though. I think he was an all-star last year. It was between him and Bam as far as who was going to get that last spot. He did get it. I think Bam was a reserve from somebody sitting out or something to that effect. So, I mean, you're trying to trade for an all-star, but I think Ayton is totally calibrated to be an all-star as well. He just needs to – I mean, obviously he needs to improve. He just needs to take that extra step, and I think with Chris Paul there, that would push him a little bit further on that. But what do you think? Would you think that would have been a good trade? I don't know why it didn't go through. I just seen that was at least discussed.
Well, they obviously had some talks because the guy, Jalen Smith, 10th pick that they had last year on the Suns, he ended up going to the Pacers. So they probably were talking. Sometimes, these teams, they throw things out to maybe motivate a player. So, where are you going to trade me? Well, this is how I'm going to play. I'm going to go hard in the second half of the season, All-Star break, and play at a high level. But I think it would have been a good move for the Suns because Sabonis.
You think so?
Definitely, he's more polished in those moves in terms of footwork and things like that. Better rebounder. I think him and Chris Paul would have been great off the pick and roll.
Oh man, that would.
Yeah.
I guess Sabonis is a little more. I'll use the word agile.
Yeah, he's more offensively. Yeah, he's more versatile. Definitely, he can rebound too. He definitely get those second chance points. It would have been a good pickup, but I mean, I'm cool with Ayton as well. I thought Ayton would make the second step this year and kind of be that second guy. I think he's second in scoring, but I mean, in just terms of being more dominant, like, okay, yeah, this is a guy that's going to be a premier big for the next 5 to 7 years. Haven't seen that too much over the course of the season, but I mean, it's still 45-10. So just as a collective, they've been playing at a great level. But it's really Chris Paul and Booker. I mean, they're running the show. But come playoff time, he's going to have to step up.
Yes, and I'm going to geek out a little bit here. For any of you guys that are young and looking to be a point guard or to any kind of guard form, please just sit down, watch a Suns game, and only watch Chris Paul play. Don't watch everyone else. Just keep your eye on Chris Paul. I actually tried to do this with my wife the other day. I was like, my goodness, this man is just smooth. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, okay, I know you don't know much about sports. I know you could care less about basketball, but please just watch him move. And she's like, okay, what's he doing? I said, moving so fluently and so lethargical that it doesn't look like he's doing much, but then all of a sudden the ball is out of his hands behind his back, passed to somewhere. And she's like, wow, where'd that ball just come from? I said, that's what I'm talking about. Like, he is so far advanced in his knowledge of the game. And I try to talk to her a little bit about like his pass. You know, he'll come off the pick and roll. I wish I had a clipboard I could kind of show you here, but like he'll come off to the right from a screen. And then, you know, when the big man helps over, he knows that he can zigzag back to the left and almost have the guard have to pick him up from behind. And then the big man can just go straight down because the big is away from him and it's a straight shot. And it's just, he's so far advanced as far as just the angles of the game. It is amazing. And he's got some handles. Like, to me personally, I think Chris Paul is so underrated as a point guard. To be as old as
underrated?
He is, underrated, yes.
He's underrated?
Yeah, I think he is underrated.
I think he's properly rated. I mean, I got him top 4 all time. My point.
I've got some of my buddies that say like they don't even think he's top 15 point guard. I'm like, how do you even say that? Wherever he has went, he's turned it to gold.
100%. It's just he's a guard. You know, he's not 6'9" like LeBron, so he can't change the complexity of the franchise like that in terms of winning championships. But as a guard, no question.
Like, to me, Chris Paul, as soon as he quits playing, he will be an assistant coach somewhere. Like,
assistant coach, heck yeah, somewhere, yeah, somewhere.
Like, automatically. I don't understand why people don't think that he is as good as he is. Like, and it's almost, I want to say it goes back that people don't really understand basketball so much. Like, and I'll even talk about some of the NBA players. Like, I feel like they're just so good that they excel, you know, and they don't understand the game full throttle. Like, you know, it kills me as an old person that to see someone go on the left side of layup and actually jump off the left foot and use your right hand to lay it in. Like, that's a no-no. That's totally wrong when you're on the left side. You're supposed to use your left hand, jump off your right foot, it makes you bigger. And then you see the people covering the ball. I'm like, you know, if you got your hands in there, it's automatic jump ball. I don't know why you're doing that. But I'm old school and I know that. So I just feel like a lot of people are just so good and so talented that they miss some of the footworks. They miss some of the fundamentals on it. And I think Chris Paul is just the perfect example of a well-oiled ship of what he should be. Like, if you just watch him and see how he handles everything, like, you know, he's already calling plays out 3/4 of the quarter of court away from the play and directing everything. Like, if you want to be inspired of being a better player, watch Chris Paul.
Definitely. Yeah, when I have a son, if he wants to be a point guard, that's who I'm going to show him, man. Definitely.
Or Jason Kidd, because he's my hero. But
Kid too. But Paul. He's, like you said, everywhere he's gone. Turn that Clippers franchise. Or Clippers used to be called the Flippers. It used to be the laughing stock of the league.
And then Houston.
Harden was kind of looking like, you know, kind of McGrady-ish, you know, really great scorer, but in the playoffs, you know, kept getting bounced out and didn't have success. He goes to Houston and they almost beat the Warriors.
If he didn't get hurt, I think they would have won.
Yeah, OKC. I mean, it was like, Chris Paul's washed now. They're not going to go to the playoffs. They get the fifth seed in the Western Conference with Oklahoma City and those guys. Now you see he's off the team, and now they're tanking again, trying to get a first round pick, so first number 1 pick. So yeah, he's been excellent his entire career. Anybody got him top 15? That's crazy. I mean, he's definitely top 5. If he's able to get a championship, it'd be a storied career. I mean, no question.
If he were to win one this year, do you think he's done?
I don't think. I mean, he's still playing at a high level. You know, it's not like it's not like Kidd. You know, Kidd was on the Mavs in 2011, where he's like, all right, you know, he's getting up there. He could do a couple spot up, and he still has the IQ to be out there. But I think now, I mean, he's still getting 18 and 15, 2 turnovers. Like he's still playing at a crazy high level at 37. It's remarkable.
And it looks like he's the old guy in the gym with a bunch of young boys that everyone's running around like the chickens with their head cut off, as we say here, don't know what's going on. And Chris Paul is just smooth, just like, yep, I'm going to do this here. And like, whoa, how did that happen? It's just so natural for him. I think he still has years left, but
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, he got to sign a 3-year deal with Phoenix, so I mean, I'll put him into 40. I think he could do it, man, because again, you know, he still has the athleticism, and like you said, he has the IQ and the knowledge. So the league is getting younger; they're not getting older. So you know, these guys are inexperienced. So as soon as when he steps on the court, he just has so much. His IQ is just on another level than all these other guys. It's gonna put them in the best position to succeed always.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask this just because I have to, because I'm a LeBron hater. Who's had the better longevity career, Chris Paul or LeBron?
I mean, you got to go Bron.
I know, but I want to go with Chris Paul. I seen something. It had a picture of LeBron doing a dunk, and it's like, who would have thought 16 years into the league, leading the league in assists or something like this and all this stuff, said, oh, and this was just a picture of LeBron. It's really Chris Paul having the career. I was like, that's great.
I mean, both of those guys have really tested time. I mean, those guys.
They really have.
I mean, LeBron came in 03, Chris Paul came in 05, and they're still going strong. And there was a time where we thought, I thought Chris Paul was going to go to the Lakers, but he wants to go up against LeBron, and he went to Phoenix, and people were like, Phoenix, what's yeah, they went 8-0 in the bubble, okay, cool, but they're not going to compete for a championship. And then he goes to Phoenix, and they're in the finals, so first year. So I just
number one right now.
Number one, 45 and 10 is it's incredible, man. It's Monty Williams as well done a phenomenal job.
My goodness, you just have to back up and just appreciate it sometimes, and not actually look into it. Let's see here. Echo 1 CJ again. I'm sorry. Let me back my phone back up again. Let's go ahead and transition here. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. We're over an hour and 10, 15 minutes here, so we'll try to speed on through this. I'm done with trade talks because there's so many that's hard to keep up with. For you guys on Colorcast, I'm sorry about this. You can't see my screen that I'm sharing, but I will just kind of mention it. It's just the all-star rosters, the reserves and everyone. Got to pull it up here. LeBron James, his team is Giannis, Stephen Curry, DeMar DeRozan, the Joker, Jimmy Butler, Luka, and then he's got let's see here, Garland, Harden taken last, Mitchell, Chris Paul, and Van Fleet.
Yeah.
Do you like? I mean, obviously we'll look at the other team. It's the All Stars. Let me just go ahead and do the other team as well. You can't really just say, oh, this team's great. It's the All Stars. They better be great. So Team KD, we've got Joel Embiid, Ja Morant, Tatum, Wiggins, Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, Devin Booker, Bubble Booker, Gobert, Draymond Green, Levine, Chris Middleton, Murray, and Karl Anthony Towns. Obviously, we don't have Kevin Durant playing. I hate that. I wish we could have him. We don't know how long he's going to be back. Of course, this game is going to be on Sunday, February 20th. I'm just reading it because it's on the screen at 8 p.m. on TNT and TBS. Who are you pulling for? Who do you think is going to win?
I'm pulling for team. Well, I'm not pulling for anybody, but I think Team Bron is going to win.
Okay.
If KD was playing, I think it just brings a completely different dynamic. But Bron, you got Steph, Luka. I think Giannis as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you got Giannis. DeRozan is having.
You got Chris Paul too.
Yeah, Chris Paul, Jokic. I mean, his playmaking has been. I mean, you got maybe 4 of the best playmakers in the NBA right there. And on one team. So that's gonna be insane. So I'm gonna go with Team Bron. I just think they got more versatility. And Chris Paul, Kevin Durant's team they got LaMelo. I think that's gonna be exciting. He's gonna bring a lot of flair to that team. A lot of flashy passes, between the leg passes. He's gonna bring some excitement to the game. Darius Garland also, another pickup on Team Bron, Cleveland guy. LeBron obviously being from Cleveland. I think, we might see a lob from them. That'd be pretty cool with both of those guys. And it's going to be an exciting game. There's not going to be no defense. It's like the Pro Bowl. It's going to be like the Pro Bowl.
Oh, my goodness.
But, with shooting and dunking. So it looks better. But I think in the fourth quarter, they'll probably lock in and, try to get some charity cash for their organizations. But I think it's going to be a great game, but I'm going with Team Bron just because look at the playmakers on that team. It's insane.
Yeah, looking at it, you've got Embiid, who of course is an all-star, but then you got Gobert, you got Green, you got Chris Middleton, Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know how you're going to be playing all those bigs against such a quick lineup. I mean, we know Gobert was put on an island last playoffs. I mean, again,
he's going to definitely be on an island.
Yeah. But I am going to say this. I'm going to go Team LeBron as far as the winners, but I'm also going to say my MVP is going to be Ja Morant. I think he's going to come out and really try to prove that he is a superstar amongst all these teams.
Yeah, that's a nice pick. That's an underrated pick. I like that.
Who you got?
I'm gonna go with the hometown guy, man. I'm gonna go with Garland. I think Garland might try to show out, knock down some threes. They might try to get him going. It's first time as an All-Star. He's done with Cleveland this year. They're really blazing their own trail. Not anything attached with LeBron, nothing attached with Kyrie and that last regime. And then they're bringing a lot of excitement to the Eastern Conference and to that city. So I think Garland might try to go get it.
Okay. Now, who do you think was snubbed? Oh, sorry, I didn't know we had some comments. I had it pulled up here. Let me bring up some comments real quick. King James Real, Michael Bolton, what's up, guys? Okay.
What's going on, man?
And let's see here. Did y'all hear about the trade deal with it? Yeah, we've already talked about that like an hour and 15 minutes ago. So maybe back up, watch that. Logan, thanks for joining in on our YouTube channel. We appreciate that. But, we definitely probably spent about 20 minutes talking about the Nets and the Phillies trade on there. But so, CJ, who should have been an all-star? Or do you think we got it right?
I think they got it right. There was a point where I was like, well, LaMelo, what's up with that? Middleton, it's a little, questionable. But, he's played solid. I think getting DeJounte Murray in there, well-deserved as well. I think they got it right this year. We know with KD being out and some other Tyler Hero was snubbed. He started off the season really well. I think he got COVID and he started to, he struggled a little bit with his shot. So he kind of trailed off a little bit towards, before All-Star break. But, I think they got it right, man. I really do.
I wanted to try to find a snub. And, I don't think Wiggins should have been a starter, but, that's not really what we're talking about here. Is just for who should have been there. I do like Hero because he's played at Kentucky. He's one of my favorite players as well. I do think he got a little snubbed. I'm not going to hate on it too bad because, he is probably going to win 6 Man of the Year the way he's playing. But I do agree with you. He missed a lot of time off and on with his injuries and sickness and everything. So, I can't say that I'm upset about it. So I'm going to say, I understand it and I'm okay with it. I can't really complain too much on it. I would agree. Chris Middleton, I think he just gets the bad rep from everyone. I don't know why. He will always be bad, it seems like. Let me just look back through here. I'm glad LaMelo Ball did make it on the reserves part. He wasn't on there at first, but I think who did he replace?
LaMelo? I think he replaced KD, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was hoping LaMelo just because I think having him in the All-Star alone is good for the NBA, just an upcoming star like he is. So I'm okay. Oh, let's see here. I'd put him over Butler just because Butler has missed more games. I agree. Butler, I think, has missed a lot more games, and he chimed in here, Corey did, to let us know that he replaced Durant. But I can't hate that Butler made it because just what he does for that team. He is flat out the team basically with the culture that they have. So I would have liked to see Hero in just because I want a Kentucky boy in. I wanted Bam in. I wish Bam was in, but he didn't get the games as well.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's 24 guys. It's going to be hard to select, but I really do feel like they got it right this year. You can maybe say Jaylen Brown, maybe. Mm-hmm. You say Corey, so I put him over Butler because Butler had missed some more games with injury. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's possible. It's possible, but I think Butler being back now is, as you know, I think you're a Heat fan. I think you're a Heat fan going by the comments so far on the show. He's been phenomenal, man. So I think it's gonna be a great game.
All right, Corey. I would say Corey because that's the one that was shining in there. CJ, looking here, I'm done with really the trades that I want to talk about. I didn't realize how many trades actually did happen in that last little bit. The Kings made a couple of trades. Pacers made a few things. There's a lot of 4-team trades. So I need to actually do a little more digging to see who all went where. I love this time of year when we're about to get in. 1, the Super Bowl. 2, we're getting into the All-Star break. 3, we just had the trade deadline. Plus, we're almost getting close to the SEC play in basketball, which we've already started, but the SEC tournament. And then March Madness is such a great time for sports. I just wish baseball would hurry up and get done with their lockout.
Yeah. I've been following you and Connie with the backstop banter, figuring out what's going on with that, man.
Backstop banter.
I see you. Yeah, you showing out with the shirt. It's a nice shirt, man. But yeah, it's a wild season of sports right now.
It really is. But I think we go ahead and call it a wrap. It's been fun. Thank you again so much for joining. Brandon, if you're able to listen to, still thank you again for joining. Guys, just going to wrap this up just a tad bit here. If you are watching the stream live here and seeing our pretty faces, also don't forget about our app. It's a Colorcast where you can download it and actually just have the audio. So if you can't watch a game, there's a lot of people that actually commentate the games, or just some people hanging out with their friends and they're streaming it where you can hear what's going on while you may be at work or on the road. But we appreciate everyone watching us or listening to us through Colorcast because they actually pay us just a tad bit more than anything. So if you wouldn't care, download the app Colorcast, get on there and type in on the search bar USN. That's for the Unwrapped Sports Network. And it'll pull up every one of us, me, CJ, Connie, Josh, Perry, just everyone, even Brandon, all of us that has it at the end of our names. Give us all a follow and just kind of watch us through there as well. YouTube channel, it has every show that we all do, even with CJ's got the hard count. And I've got Backstop Banter as well. It's all through, again, Unwrapped Sports Network on YouTube, where everything is funneled through. CJ, go ahead and, I know I mentioned it, but go ahead and Twitter and everything like that, and your shows and what all you do. And what I'm going to write that podcast down at this time.
I appreciate you, man. That's Guard Up Podcast, covering all things NBA. And then the Hard Count every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on Twitter as well, and on Colorcast every Tuesday. And then catch me on Twitch, CJ versus the World, and then Twitter, as you see right here, for the people watching on YouTube and other platforms. That's at CJames9_. Thanks for having me, man.
I see you on Twitch quite a bit.
Yeah, I see you stop by a couple times, man. I appreciate that.
One of these days, man, I may actually get Xbox Live and play on there. I don't know. It's too expensive for my blood. I got to buy diapers. But as always, check us out. Backstop. I've got Backstop Banter as the name here. I apologize. Anyways, Count Bucket USN on Twitter. You can follow me at MDLawson00 on Twitter as well. And you can find me on all social medias with that. And again, that's MDLawson00. In the bio, I've got my link tree in where you can find everything on that as well. We're live every Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time with Count the Bucket, as we are now. Thursdays, like he was saying, I've got Backstop Banter. It's 9 p.m. every Thursday Eastern time again. And, of course, we're on both of my shows are on podcasts and the Spotify and everything like that. So tomorrow we'll try to have that updated and have that released where we're on the podcast probably by 11 or 12 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, again, thank you so much, CJ. You know you are welcome to this show anytime.
Hey, man, thanks for having me again, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, everybody, y'all have a good night.